All right. Good evening, all of those out there in internet land. My name is Troy Bernier, and this is the Miami International Science Fiction Film Festival. And today we're going to talk about screenplays, and of course, in this particular screenplay is "Glorious Coins" by Mr. Aaron David Harris, coming to us all the way from California. That is quite far from the space station, I can tell you that. So let's bring on Aaron and let's see what's going on. How you doing, Aaron?
What's up, man? How you doing, man?
Yeah,
Great to
yeah.
be here. Great to be
Good to
here.
see you. It's so amazing. I'm now also discovering that you're alumni. You're
Yeah,
alumni with the festival.
man.
So tell us what happened. What happened
So
with the last piece you did?
I want to say this was in 2021. It's either 2020 or 2021,
Hmm.
because that was when this project, which is based on my family, called H Squad.
Hmm.
It's a family of black superheroes just trying to solve their normal problems using their powers responsibly.
Yeah.
I have two sets of twin boys and a daughter, and I wanted something for them that they could see themselves in
Right.
through the lens of superheroes and science fiction. So I made a quick pilot, sent it around to the festival circuit. You know how it goes. It gets picked up here, it gets picked up there. And by the end of the run, which everybody wants the best thing, but by the end of the run, lo and behold, I was selected for Slam Dance, which for those of you who know about the film festival circuit, that's one of the big catches out there. And that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't had the rub from a lot of the other festivals got selected for,
Right.
including Miami Sci-Fi. So
Yeah.
I got selected, and then even more crazy, I won. And like I have right here, I don't know if you can really see it. This
What?
is my little award that they give
Oh,
for there's like 7,600 people submit films to that festival, and only like 50 or so get selected, and then only about 10 of those win. So I was one that won, and I won their Spirit Award, which is an award voted on by the only award voted on by our peers, filmmakers. Everything else is audience and jury
so
selection. So it's awesome. It was just an
so
amazing experience.
I've gotta definitely load this question. So tell me, you're using Final Draft, right?
I am using Final Draft. I am using Final Draft.
Sponsor pitch.
Yep,
So
yep. I am using Final Draft.
okay, good.
I had a version of it that a friend of mine kind of gave me his product key for, but I
Mm,
actually went on ahead and bought it like when I first moved out here back in like 2019. So
mhm.
anything that I've made from like 2019 on is been Final Draft based, and so
Yeah,
that means everything that I've gotten, any sort of official selection or
all the
win,
winning. See,
uh,
see, see,
I was
see,
able to. Final Draft is cool, man. I'm not.
see. It
It's
keeps
cool,
on
man.
giving. It keeps on giving.
Yeah. So I have no problem with Final Draft at
Wow,
all. So
that's awesome. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So you're in California, but you're not originally from Cali, though, right?
I'm a
Okay.
Detroit guy,
Okay.
Detroit, Michigan.
Michigan. Okay.
I'm an '80s baby, '90s kid.
Hmm.
So I came out here because I wanted to do specifically animation. There are a lot of places in the country that you can do films at. Miami's a great one. I lived in Miami for a year.
Hmm.
There are a lot of great places that you can make films at. But as
Yeah.
far as animation is concerned,
Hmm.
Atlanta's great for, you know, actors and talent and things of that nature. New York is great for like the exposure and just that lifestyle.
Hmm.
But the ink is still dried in Burbank when it comes to the animation studios, when it comes to Nickelodeon, when it comes to the
Hmm.
Warners, when it comes
Right.
to places like Titmouse and even Crunchyroll, the anime
Yeah. Yeah.
producers. They have their base here as well. They have them in Texas. There's a lot of different places, but this is still the place if you want to try to
Sure.
secure employment and make networking opportunities. So
Okay.
I still got love for the 313. Everybody knows that, my family, but everybody knows why I'm here, and everything that I do is going to kind of rep that a little bit. So yeah.
So, so what ultimately would you say is what inspired you to put in this effort to create all of this content? What's the driving mechanism? What inspired you the most that to make you do this?
I'm still to this day, I'm going to be 40 this year, but I'm still to this day that kid that got up in the morning and watched Fox Kids and watched X-Men,
Mm-hmm.
Rangers, and then when that was over, I went and played Street Fighter 2. Those are three big influences in my entire creative lifespan. Are X-Men, the animated series. I know they did the 97 thing. I'm still working my way through it. I still have my thoughts on it. And then Power Rangers, which I know we sort of bastardized that franchise, but like I'll call it Super Sentai. I'll call it, the original Japanese. It's my gateway into anime, my gateway into Japanese culture and things of that nature. And then Street Fighter, which allowed me to then interact with those thoughts. Like when we were kids, we could play with our toys after we watched the show.
Yep.
But if you wanted to throw that fireball, if you wanted to do that fancy spin kick, maybe they didn't have a Power Ranger game or X-Men game that could do that at that point in time. But you might have had Street Fighter 2. You might have had that already. And fireball that you might have saw in X-Men or in Power Rangers looks similar to Hadouken. So I could live those things out. And to this day, those three things are the main things that kind of drive my creativity, that drive the way that I do screenplays, the drive that I make films with, and all of that stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's fantastic that you shared. It's so positive. It's very neat. So let me ask you this one. So reflecting on, this is a career for you. What has been the most challenging project to date, and how did it contribute to your growth?
H Squad, the project that was selected, was challenging for a few reasons.
MiSciFi was what you well. Former MiSciFi submission.
Yeah. It was challenging because it was made at the sort of the starting arc of COVID. Mm-hmm. One of my sons, my youngest son, I have two sets of twin boys, and my youngest son of the youngest set was going through some really severe health issues. And as I was at his hospital bed making this film at his hospital bed on a laptop. And it was difficult in the sense that I was hoping that he would still be around to be able to see the film once it was completed. And so I had that in my mind, and I'm like, in some ways, obviously it's difficult because you're a father and you're thinking about the worst things. But then at the same time, you're thinking, man, I'm gonna make this the best possible thing that I can make. Because if this is the only thing he ends up seeing, or this is the last thing he ends up seeing, then I want it to be something really great. And I think that sort of heart is what drove people to connect with it. People who watched it, people who select festivals that selected it, the filmmakers that ultimately picked me to win the award that I won at Slamdance that this all culminated with. That was what really was the most difficult. The most difficult one obviously ends up being the one that's been the most. It's been the thing that's defined me and defined my company and defined sort of my brand here in LA. So yeah.
Wow, that's the second question is also you answered both. Wow.
Okay.
So how are the kids right now?
They're good. Everybody's good. We're all they're different. My kids are different. My daughter is the only girl in a house full of younger brothers, and her taekwondo lessons that she used to do before they were born have come in handy. Not only just like physical, but in martial arts, they teach you leadership and character. And
that's right.
She's still 11 and she's still learning, and obviously there's always headbutting that happens, figuratively speaking, the headbutting that happens, particularly with the one that's sort of the next in line age-wise to her. They often get into it about the littlest things, just the littlest things, because that's what they are. But then they're also the ones that are the closest too, in terms of how they communicate and how they talk and who they want to hang out with when they go to a amusement park. They all love each other, but you form cliques a little bit, and they're their own clique. And sometimes they're loving on each other, and sometimes they're fighting about who's going to get this controller and play the Switch. And that sort of thing. And it's provided really endless inspiration for H Squad. I don't have the, I know I'm digressing here a little bit, is, you know, animation is expensive. I don't necessarily have all of the funds to make the next pilot episode animated, but what I've done, and it's not a completely unique thing, but what I typically do is, if I can't afford it as an animated series, then I'll make it into an audio drama. And so episodes 2 through 8 of H Squad are actually an audio drama available on any podcast that you want to receive. So if you just put in your search in any Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever, you just search H Squad, it'll come up. And if you want to enjoy it, learn a little bit about us through fiction and superhero action, there's that. So I'm sorry to digress, but that's where my mind went.
No, that's good. That's really good. You're doing great. So you kind of touched a little bit about the performance of your latest piece. Could you say what it's been like going to some of these other festivals with your screenplay? How did it work for you there? What was the experience like compared to MiSciFi?
For this particular screenplay, or just my,
well, say the last one, or because if this one is still relatively fresh and new, you may not. But what was the previous experience like?
So I very specifically target festivals that I feel are going to fit my proclivities, are going to fit like the way that I go. Again, Power Rangers, Power Rangers, Street Fighter, and X-Men. I like Mortal Kombat too. Power Rangers, Street Fighter, X-Men. You know, Sundance, which is a great festival, one of the best festivals in the world, they may not feel me like that. You know what I mean? So this festival will obviously. Slam Dance, they take that different angle and they come off the beaten path. So they feel me. They understand where I'm coming from. When I go to New York City, there's the Urban Action Showcase that I've submitted, that I got selected for this project. I do very well there because they run their festival very similarly to a Comic-Con, with vendors and people cosplaying as characters and action adventure characters. It skews towards minorities and diversity and things of that nature as well. But then there's like this martial arts science fiction twist to it. It's awesome. It's really awesome. Genre Blast, Indie Gathering, all of these different that are kind of off the beaten path. And I received very well there because I target those. You know,
we're kicking 30 countries this year.
Wow.
We have 30 different. We have, I want to say there's 70, 80 films in the festival from 30 different countries. And this is the first year we've had probably, there's at least 4 or 5, maybe 6 countries that what we call Beacon Award countries. These are countries that probably have never made science fiction, at least in this capacity, ever before. Armenia, Kazakhstan. We got films from Kazakhstan.
Listen,
Malaysia.
I know this might come off as sort of PR and everything, but like, for a guy like me, and I know that guys like me exist, having this festival is very, very encouraging and very it's needed. It's a necessary thing because there are a lot more festivals out there now. There are a lot more film festivals now than there have been in the history of like the world in terms of film festivals, because there's more ways to make films. But there's still disparity in genre filmmaking, because there's still a perspective of what the prestige of filmmaking is supposed to be versus the fact that we have to create a category called genre to separate it from, you know, from the regular festival, quote unquote regular festival. Speaks to the need that festivals like this festival this is why you're here and why people like me need you, why we need this and need this platform. So I have no problem giving you and everybody that works on this festival their flowers, man, because I always look forward to hearing back from you guys when I send something,
No,
because
thank you.
whether it's selected or not, some of the feedback that I get is very much appreciated.
We can't tell you uh who the judges on your work are. We're not that part of our mantra is that remains in anonymity. You can say, "Oh, you're a judge, but you'll never really know who really did it."
Yeah.
And we do that because we try to keep a level field. Try to keep a level field. We try to separate that, put a barrier so there's no bias involved. We don't want any bias involved. And to me, it's sort of like getting someone who's never heard of Star Wars or Star Trek and they get a lead role in the film. You're gonna get such original character and pure content.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
Usually it comes out amazingly well. When you ask some of these people who played in some of these Star Wars or Star Trek or The Expanse, they're like, yeah, I don't even know what science fiction is. Alec Guinness, who was the original Obi-Wan Kenobi, he despised this. He's like, what is this craziness that Lucas is doing?
Yeah.
But his presence in the production, because he's a theatrical actor.
Yeah, I was waiting for someone like a Denzel to show up in a Marvel movie. I really was, I had heard out here rumors that Jordan Peele, before he became Jordan Peele, when he was Key and Peele's Jordan Peele, that he was up for a role in talks in a role for a Spider-Man to play Arcade.
Wow.
You know that villain is Arcade, the one who Arcade is a villain who he's a gamer basically.
Yes.
He's the sadistic gamer who creates these crazy games and he puts Spider-Man within him, and he's kind of like
the Riddler.
Kind of Marvel version of Riddler but it's like, modernized technology.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see sort of I would love to see that. And it's still possible, we still have some of those things that are possible. Sometimes, like in the case of Obi-Wan Kenobi, they work out. In other cases, like Sean Connery in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, that's some people. I like that. I love that franchise. It's one of my top graphic novel franchises of all time. And when I saw and I wouldn't have known about it if I hadn't seen the film first.
Right.
I wouldn't have known about it. So before I read the books, they were really awesome. And then the film was awesome. And then I read the books and then watched the film again. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're a little pressed on time. So we've got two more questions here. And how do you view the evolution of film and storytelling with the advent of new technologies and platforms? And how do you think that this is going to shape opportunities for actors and filmmakers?
Everything. Things that we thought that we had to go to get degrees for, or go move to Hollywood and network to get to, everything from science fiction books to science fiction podcasts to science fiction films to science fiction video games. All is possible with a username and a password. You sign up. You pick your tier. You get the starter pack, the pro pack, or the enterprise pack. Yeah. Anything you want. Username and a password. Get the free version, the starter version, the pro version, the enterprise version. Now, in some ways, that's really great because the ease in which we have access to these things, and there are literal geniuses out there who may not otherwise have had the opportunity to make things, and then we have an opportunity to see those things. The downside is the obvious one, which is the saturation or the over-saturation of quote-unquote content. Yeah. I do think there is going to be sort of a leveling out point. I think once people think that the streaming wars are over, and they're kind of not. They're just in like a Cold War status where it's like it's like Netflix versus YouTube. We're not talking about it the way we talked about the strikes last year, but it's happening. Like they're still fighting. I think once that war cools down, and there'll be more sort of guardrails about who can upload content and the tiers with which we see that content. That once we get more clear about algorithms and things like that, I think we'll end up being back in a space where there'll be gatekeepers, and we'll be back to where we kind of were in the 80s, where everything was kind of, given to us. It's the only difference is once it's time to be independent, the way in which we get there is going to be it'll be easier, and we won't have these fights about independent versus commercial the way we do now.
Wow. Yeah.
That's my viewpoint.
That's your take. Well, listen, last question, and that is, are you Star Wars, Star Trek fan, or both?
I'm both, but if I had to skew, only because I'm into the martial arts aspects of film and entertainment, I would say that I would go towards the Star Wars, just by that hair. Just by that hair. I mean, I sat down with my mother at kitchen tables watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. Right. So, it'll always have a special place in my heart. But I like when people throw punches.
Man.
That's just me.
Okay. That's awesome, Aaron. This has been a real pleasurable experience, and man,
pleasurable to be here, man.
You're packing it, man. You're doing well, and we're so thrilled. And I can tell you that a lot of the rest of the team, when they hear about this news of your success, we're going to be really excited. And I can tell you, Final Draft is going to find out too. They want to know.
Yeah,
they actually sponsored the festival this year, so
I don't mind. Thank you, thank you for making. Thanks for giving me a discount. I got a discount on it when I bought it, because I was like a first time buyer. And so it gave me it was 20% off or something when I bought it.
There you go.
Hey, thank you for the coupon. Every bit helps, baby. Every bit helps when you're independent filming out here in LA. So thank you.
Awesome. All right,
man.
Thank you so much, Aaron. See you again. We'll be talking real soon.
Okay.
Hold on. Stand by.
Mm-hmm.